What is going on, spectators? Welcome back to episode 162. It is November 7th, 2022. My name is Julian. I'm here with Brooklyn. What's going on, brother?
Yo, what's poppin', bro? How you doing?
Dude, we're doing great. The baseball
Yes,
season is
sir.
over.
Thank
Football is
God.
halfway through. College football is almost done already. I mean,
Wild.
we're moving and grooving, and the NBA season's a couple weeks in now, so they're getting into the thick of things. And there's always a lot to talk about around this time of year, and we're gonna get as much in as we can today, and we're gonna go ahead and start with an RIP to take off and Aaron Carter, some legends for people, particularly our age. Um,
Absolutely.
pretty sad stuff that happened this last week. So RIP to them and prayers to their family and all that good stuff and their loved ones. Um, I know that those even like the Aaron Carter one, I was like, damn. Like, there's not too many that have affected at least me super crazy because we're so young. Like, we don't have attachment. But those two were rough. So
Absolutely. And especially like that being a Tampa breed alone, like that was wild. And I mean, just the fact of everything that happened with Takeoff as well, and just
yeah.
wild stuff. Those two definitely hurt.
Yeah. So again, RIP to those guys
Yeah,
and again, thoughts out for the families and everybody.
absolutely.
Switching up gears. The World Series just happened. The World Series has come. The World Series is gone. It was not a classic World Series by any means. It was not the 2016 World Series. The Astros broke their curse. They broke the NL East curse that they were starting to develop and looked like they might have continued after
Yeah.
game 3 of this series. Um, this World Series was honestly kind of terrible. Not gonna lie. Outside of game 1, it was not. These games were not very competitive. Game 1 was awesome. We had that really big 5-run comeback. Um,
Which made
Astros
it
were up
seem
5-0.
like this was gonna be a wild
And
series.
that was the thing. Like, that first game set the precedent like so high and set the expectations so high. They were like, oh, we might get a classic. And then game 2 rolls around, and it was kind of all Astros. Game 3 comes around, and Lance McCullers is tipping pitches, and that's the only time that the Phillies could score is when pitches were getting tipped in the series.
Yeah.
Because the next day, they put up 5 home runs, a World Series record on the Astros, to then get combined no hit the very next day in their home building.
Yeah.
First of all, the second combined no hitter of the season for the Astros, also with Christian Javier. One day Christian Javier will finish. He's not going to. Which brings up the great question: do we like combined no hitters?
No, I hate them.
I think they're cool as like an organization, and I think it's more of a
Yeah.
fallacy towards the team that they're playing.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like a no hitter is only cool because like the one, maybe 2 guys do it. Like, you go 8, maybe the closer comes in and like fine. But like when you get like a 5 pitcher combined no hitter, it's like,
Like, it's cool that everybody was on their game that day because there's so many times where a pitcher pitches amazing and then the reliever comes
the
in and
next guy
just
gets
craps
the
the
baton.
bed.
Yeah.
So, like, it is impressive. I'm not taking nothing away from it because, again, you still no hit that team. No matter who was on the bump, the other team couldn't get a hit off them. So it's still impressive. Just I don't
They're
like
lame.
making a big hoopla about it because like cool you did it, but like we need to come up with some other name
I mean,
for it.
they literally got no hit. So like,
Yeah, but it's just like I don't know. It's tough
I think
because
it would be more of an issue if it was a perfect game.
yeah, combined perfect game like
That's
nah,
not a thing. I
nah,
refuse to let that happen. Combined
yeah,
perfect game. It's not perfect.
yeah.
If it
You
were
had to come out
perfect,
of
it
the
wouldn't
game.
have taken that guy out.
Yeah. So if it, I'm cool with the combined no hitter. If it is a combined perfect game, they need to just call it a combined no hitter as well. Because again, you're not perfect. You got taken out of the game. You
Yeah.
did something wrong, or they were not okay with you being on the bump for however many outs it took for somebody else to come in. They were not okay with you being there. So you had to get taken out, and you were not perfect.
Not perfect.
So
Yeah, I like that.
yeah,
Because, again, like, yeah, the no-hitter's fine. But, dude, no-hitter in a World Series is crazy. That happened twice, ever.
yeah.
And the other one was a perfect game. Shout out Don Larson. Let's go. My guy.
Yes, sir.
Why is it like the weirdest Yankee pitchers throw no-hitters in perfect games? We got
It's wild.
Don Larson and Wells and Kluber. Pretty wild, but yeah, they win that game 5-0, and then the next game was like, was game 5 was actually a good game. Game 5 was a good one. In the ninth inning, Chas McCormick makes a game winning catch essentially
Yeah,
at the wall where JT Realmuto hit it to the wall. It's a home run in 8 stadiums. He
it's
winds up
crazy.
jumping and catching it. It wouldn't have been a home run. It would have been at least a double. If he doesn't catch that, it probably hits off the wall and goes for a triple. Philly was down 1 run. That completely changes the series. But he does make that play, and like, I'm surprised I haven't seen that more being shown in like the World Series tape, because that was probably like the most defining play of the World Series singularly.
Yeah, you saw that play, and it was like, oh, that's really tough because they could have made something happen after that, and he just ripped their hearts out with
Yeah,
that.
wind out the sail type of
Yeah,
a catch.
it's
And then
really tough.
game 6 just like wasn't great. Schwarber puts them in an early lead. And you know what's crazy? Were you watching game 6 with us? I don't remember if you were there.
Not with you guys, but I was watching it with you guys.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I got you. Game 6, Zach Wheeler is dealing. And Zach Wheeler got Blake Snelled so hard. He got Blake Snelled. It's a verb. It's a thing. He was
look it up.
dealing. Absolutely dealing. He gave up like 3 hits to this point. Jeremy Pena gets a hit. Now I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 outs, but there's 1 or 2 outs. It's first and second, and Jordan's coming up. Jordan's 0 for on the day. He looked stupid in one of his at-bats. Zach Wheeler's cooking, and they took him out of the game to go lefty-lefty against Jose Alvarado, who's pitched in every single game of this series, and he was not good in the last 3 of them. And what happened every round of the playoffs with Jordan? A pitcher came out to bring in a lefty for the lefty-lefty matchup, hits a 3-run bomb off Robbie Ray to win the game. They bring in Wandy Peralta for the Yankees, hits a double that scores a run. I don't know how much that mattered, but it happened. Comes in off Alvarado, 3-run home run. It's the game winner, essentially. The Astros win 4-1. They win the World Series. And they get their first real World Series. I mean, nobody can really dispute or debate this. I think they were the best team all year. They were certainly the best team in the playoffs. And I'm surprised they lost any games. There was a second there when they beat the Yankees that I'm like, are they going to lose a game? Like, I thought they were going to do a Warriors run. Thank God.
Yeah, they looked really dominant. But also, let's backtrack just a bit. Let's not skip over that Jordan home run because that was
It was a tank.
impressive.
It was a tank.
That was impressive. Like, did you see the angle from behind home plate of him hitting it and the ball just soaring through the air?
Dude, 450 dead center.
Dead center.
Now, also, I want this to be known. Not only did they bring in a lefty against Jordan, which he hit better all postseason, he was not very good in the postseason. Outside of the at bats where they brought in a lefty to face him, I think he was like 2 for 50. It was something ridiculous where he only was getting hits off the new pitcher. Outside of that, Jose Alvarado comes in and throws him a fastball, not only down the middle, but low down the middle. This was the worst possible pitch to throw to the worst possible hitter.
Yeah.
And that ball got torched. I was really mad about the guy who caught the ball. I don't know if you saw that.
I
The guy who caught
didn't.
the ball, it was just some dude who's probably never been to an Astros game. He bought the jersey when he got there. He was in dead center. They took a picture of him with the ball, and he was just like not smiling, just didn't care. He just had it. He's like, oh, cool, I got a baseball.
Well, you caught the ball.
Yeah,
That,
and
that's
that's
why.
that's the one problem I have with like the Astros in general too, about like most of their fans kind of suck as fans.
Yeah, they don't have great fans.
And I mean,
But
a lot of the younger ones are really good, but like, why would you be an older Astro fan that loves this team when like they were the worst organization in the sport for 25 years? So
but wouldn't this be the time where you like rejuvenate your fandom?
I think there comes a point of not caring where you just never care. You know, like
Like I
when
would
they've
get
been so
that.
bad for so long that you still like them, but you're like, there's only so much that you can care because like you've seen how bad they've operated. I wouldn't
And
feel
and
that way, but I
I
get
would
it.
get that. I would get that if like you were a spunky team and you just made it
And
to
he
the
did
World
deserve to
Series
be
on
there.
a
Yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool, I get that. But we're going on what is it, 6 years of being dominant?
Yeah, I mean they're another World Series appearance away from being a dynasty. So
So like are we not happy about that? We just gonna
not me.
let I don't know. That's wild.
Yeah,
But honestly, looking at this series as a whole, I do think it wasn't that bad because you got a wild
we
game
got two
one.
good games. Two good
It
games.
you look at the storyline of it, and I think it's kind of cool because you got the extra inning game one. Phillies steal it. They shouldn't really beat the Astros, but they do. Flips around, Astros get it. Then they just go through and mollywop them game three. You get a no hitter in game four. You get the game saving catch, and then a wild 3-run home run. And I know it's like small
It
chunks
was
within
just
it,
yeah, it
but
was singular moments,
but
but
but you
yeah.
put all of it together, and it makes a cool story. I don't think you put it in like the top
No,
25 World
it
Series.
wasn't better than last year's,
No,
certainly.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, so it was fine.
Yeah,
The playoffs as a whole were pretty good though, so shout out. And
yeah.
yeah, that's a wrap of the baseball season. Officially, free agents are officially becoming free agents now. So everybody that could have opted out or opted in has done that to this point. I'm pretty sure. Edwin Diaz signed a 5-year, $102 million deal, the richest ever for a reliever. 5-year, 102 million. He's getting over 20 million a season. That is, I think, 4 million higher than the next highest paid reliever, which I don't know who it is. I don't remember who it is. I know Ryan Presley's number 3, and I know Raisel Iglesias is number 4. I don't remember who number 2 is, but pretty electric stuff. Edwin got the bag. He had one really good year and got the bag, and I guarantee you he's gonna suck next year. Just that's just how it goes. So just, he'll prove you don't pay relievers for a reason, but you know
They're gonna play a different song off the trumpet.
they're gonna play a whole different song, and he's gonna be poo poo caca.
Oh man.
But yeah, free agents are a thing, so we're gonna be getting into that once they start signing, and probably in 2-3 weeks we'll come out with something about that. I actually might make a video on where I think all the free agents are going. That sounds like a good one. Maybe a TikTok, maybe a YouTube video, maybe both. I don't know. We'll see.
Why not both?
We'll see. But let's go over to the NFL now because the NFL is again halfway through. We'll hit some winners and losers. Maybe hit a quick little mid-season MVP ladder. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's only a couple options, but you know what I'm saying. You want to start me off with a winner and a loser?
Yeah, let's get a winner off the board. The Cincinnati Bengal offense just making Joe Mixon a superhero out there, looking great. Only the 17th player to have 5 touchdowns in a game, and he had 4 on the ground, 1 catching through the air, and he just looked insane yesterday. So big shout out to the Bengals and Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and what's especially crazy about that is the Panthers defense has looked like the only like redeemable part of their team this year. Um Outside of like a game versus the 49ers and then yesterday. I mean, they've looked like okay at times. They're still not good. This team is bad,
Yeah.
but Joe Mixon had 200 plus yards and 5 touchdowns.
And don't let it being against the
Uh,
Panthers like
it doesn't matter.
diminish it
Yeah,
at
it
all.
doesn't
Because
matter. It
if
doesn't
only
matter.
17 people have done it, there's been a lot of worse teams out there than the Panthers. I
Oh,
can tell you that
significant.
much.
Yeah, the Panthers are not in the bottom 10 worst teams ever. I'll tell you
No,
that
they're
right now.
bad right now. Not all time bad.
No, not all time bad. Not even remotely. So yeah,
No.
shout out to the Bengals. They had a really rough loss last week on Monday night too. Like bad. They got embarrassed by the Browns.
Yeah.
And the Browns are not really a team you want to get embarrassed by either. Like in division, it didn't. So this was a really big bounce back win. I do think the Bengals are still trending in the right direction, and they're still to be feared despite the 5-4 record they got. So, my winner is going to be the Dolphins when Tua plays. In games where Tua
Fair
is
enough.
not
Mhm.
a shell of himself because he can't think or walk straight, this offense is horrifying. Again, they scored 35 yesterday against the Bears. The Bears defense is terrible now. They traded Roquan. They traded, I don't remember the other guy's name, but the other lineman, Robert Quinn, I think. So they traded their two best defenders. And actually, since then, the Bears have been better, which is funny. I don't get that. The offense woke up now that they traded the defensive players. Tua, though, is getting the most separate. I saw a really interesting graphic. Theo Ash tweeted it. If you guys know who Theo Ash is, and it was pretty much showing like the league average separation, like yards per route separation, and the average is like 2.9 yards, right? So a wide receiver get 2.9 yards of separation from any given DB on a received play. Gesicki's averaging 7 yards. So he's just wide open every time. Tyreek's averaging 3.4. Waddell's averaging like 4.9. So these guys are wide open. And I'm not going to credit Tua on that, obviously. He's not running those routes. That's fully Mike McDaniels. Whatever Mike McDaniels is cooking up over there on the offensive side, he is cooking. And these guys are wide open consistently. And Tua is getting it at least in the range because he has underthrown them almost every time, but it doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. And yes, Tua is still not great. I want that to be known. He is actually underthrowing everybody. If they had like, who's like slightly better than Tua that could not overthrow everything? They had Geno Smith. And I'd say that with the most amount of respect to Tua because I think he's had a great year. But Geno has like been throwing lasers to people, right? So if they had Geno, bro, this team would score 49 every game.
Yeah. It's wild.
But shout out to the Dolphins and their
Shout out to the
offense.
Dolphins.
Winners when he plays.
I'll give you somebody with a loser when he plays. The Green Bay Packers. And I'm enjoying every bit of throwing the Green Bay Packers as a loser every week.
Every week.
Will continue to do it every week. And if I don't do it, Julian will do it every week. Because, oh my goodness, how are we here right now? Last week, we said after the Buffalo loss, this game against the Lions is going to be, I wouldn't say a make or break, but something that they just had to win just to like get something back in the tank. And you guys lose to the Lions 15-9 after just going on a losing streak and a half. And the future don't look bright either when you got the Cowboys, the Titans, the Eagles, the Bears, but I mean, whatever. That don't look like a good future you got coming up. And man, there is one specific thing I saw where the Packers, they're in the red zone, they throw it in, ball gets tipped, goes on the ground. They try to run it in, they don't get it. And this is after I think it was Lazard after a big play. Gets into the end zone but doesn't. They put him at the 1. So then they try to do that. Ball gets tipped, incomplete. And then it ends up getting picked. And it's just like, oh, man. We're right here. You guys got A-Rod, apparently. You guys got Aaron Rodgers. Like, this this number 12. This the GOAT.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he is looking bad, whether it's by association from the team and everybody
I
together.
think it's a
But
mixture of things.
I
Because
think
like
it's a mixture. I'm not gonna put it all on him because again, you got scrubs out there not making stuff happen and helping him out and trying to make him look good as well. Because I've seen him like making plays with his
he
feet.
doesn't look significantly worse as a passer.
No, no, not at all. But when you put it all together and just week after week after week, you just
And you
get
know what's funny about this whole thing too? I had a conversation with a stranger about it. I wore my Vikings jersey. I had a Randy Moss jersey that I wore to work yesterday, and a guy comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, you see the Packers lost?" And I'm just like, "Of course I saw the Packers lost. Yeah, they suck." We're talking about it. He's like, "Man, what happened to Aaron Rodgers? Like, blah blah blah. Like, what did he do to make Devontae want to leave? Like, this guy won 2 MVPs." I was like, "Listen, man, when you're an abrasive person that just A takes way too much time to get to know, and B, like, just people seemingly don't like,
yeah.
bad things kind of happen, right?" And we are in week 9. Week 9, and he still has not had a single, like, even relatively looking connection with any of his new wide receivers. That's on him. That's on
Yeah.
him. Because no, these wide receivers aren't great, but every quarterback in the league has a wide receiver they like to throw to because they gel to some extent. And he doesn't have that. And he had the best wide receiver in the sport. The best wide receiver in the sport. And he made him want to get traded to the worst team in the sport. Because the Oakland Raiders are my loser. Derek Carr
He
is
called
going to
them
be
Oakland.
bagging groceries in 3 weeks.
He took them out of Las Vegas, moved them to Oakland.
Oakland. Put him back. Please.
Oh man.
That's like the only name change thing I just can't get right. Every team that's changed their name, I got it. The Chargers and the Rams, LA, too easy. For some reason, the Raiders and Oakland just can't get out of my head.
Because saying Las Vegas
It's a
still
lot.
feels weird.
Well, because they were the only team there for a second, so like nobody said Vegas.
Yeah.
This is the 3rd game this season. They had a bye week already. This is the 3rd game out of 8 they have played. Almost 50% of the games that the Raiders have played that they were winning by at least 17 points and lost. Hello? Last week, they passed the 50-yard line once.
Yikes.
It was in the 4th quarter with 4 minutes left.
Ay caramba.
This week, they put up 20 in the first half, 20 unanswered. Then going into the half, they let the Jags score 10, let them get momentum, and then they don't score in the second half at all. So we're, 1, not adjusting at all. 2, Derek Carr is just being the opposite of a game manager. I've never seen somebody with a lead where the offense looks so good. And I watch Kirk Cousins every single week. I've never seen somebody with a lead go into a drive and have more inefficient 3 and outs than Derek Carr. And then not only does he have inefficient 3 and outs, but then he gets sacked on like 20% of his plays because he doesn't throw the ball fast enough. As if Devontae's probably not open. I'm angry. This idiot somehow has a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers.
The Raiders were one of my losers, so shout out Julian for dunking the oop.
Yeah. I also want to say
I don't know how we got from the Packers to the Raiders, but I love it. So here we are.
I also want to say Aaron Rodgers is on the road to the most interceptions of his career, and the worst QBR of his career, and the worst quarterback rating of his career, and the worst finish as a team in his career. Eat those 5 losses in a row. They're 4.5 games back, by the way.
It's looking
I'm so happy.
wild.
Four and a half
Absolutely wild.
games back, and it's week 9. I could cry.
I don't think
I
I've
could
ever
I could cry.
I don't think I've ever seen the NFC North standings look like they do right now.
Well,
It's
the Packers are
wild.
actually still in second, so
No,
it's
but I'm
look
I'm I'm just saying, like, looking at the records
yeah.
along with it. You got Minnesota at 7-1, and then Green Bay and Chicago 3-6, and Detroit at 2-6. Like,
Yeah,
come on now.
yeah,
When
rough.
does that happen?
That should never happen.
Like, if it was the Vikings at 7-1 and like the Packers at like 6-2, okay, but
Okay.
whatever,
Packers are
whatever.
minus 34 in point differential. Not great. Not great.
You hate to see that,
On
but
me.
we love to see that.
Man, not me. You got another winner?
Yeah, I do. Patrick Mahomes
Okay, actually,
looking.
I don't even want you to finish. If you have to go through time and pick a singular quarterback that you need, is it anybody else?
No, no,
He is the most talented quarterback that's ever
bro.
played this game, and I don't think it's close.
He's damn near single handedly won them the game at the end of that.
He was
Like,
insane.
he was slicing and dicing with his feet, getting passes where he needed. He looked insane, out of his mind, going absolutely nuts. And let me give you the stats: 43 for 68. Man threw almost 70 passes for 446 yards through the air, and then another 63 on the ground. So do the quick math.
Quick math. Quick
Mahomes is responsible for 500 yards and just a dominating OT drive too to just completely put them out of the water. Like, what were you gonna do with? I think it was like 4 minutes left when they got the ball, when the Titans got the ball. So I was like, what are you gonna do? Mahomes just looked amazing, absolutely amazing in those final drives, and shout out.
He's the best football player offensively I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And you know, we've seen some really good players in this league, right? Like we watched all of Adrian Peterson's career, one of the best I've
yeah,
ever seen. Prime Antonio Brown was crazy. We saw Cooper Cup season last year. Like we've seen some really good guys. We've seen Julio Jones' whole career, Larry Fitzgerald. Like we've seen some really, and obviously Tom and Aaron Rodgers. This is the best offensive football player I have ever seen, and I don't think it's close. I think if you have a draft and you have to build a team and you have every single player that has ever played the game of football available, the number one pick is Patrick Mahomes.
how can you like even argue not to pick him? How?
I mean, like if you look at like obviously stats, his career is still so young, right? So like that's how you could be like, well, Dan Marino and Joe Montana, like they've done all these things. And it's like, yeah, sure, maybe Brady won the 6 rings. Patrick Mahomes is better than Brady ever was. Like
Because you look at what Pat does, and nobody in the history of the league does what he does as
no,
the efficiency that he does.
no,
Like, yeah, there's been QBs that scramble and they scramble very
pretty
well.
well.
There's been playmakers where they could do something shicey on the field and it's like, whoa, 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 how'd you do that? But Mahomes just does it better. He just
You
does
know
it
what
better.
watching Mahomes feels like? It feels like watching Brett Favre's gunslinger ability mixed with Aaron Rodgers like run around outside the pocket and find an open guy, mixed with Russ's speed, mixed with like Drew Brees' like intelligence in the pocket. It's crazy, bro.
Tom Brady's like game game ending drive like mentality.
Dude,
Or just
if you give this guy the ball and there's like 2 minutes left and he has a timeout, you're losing.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to see the stat on like his record when down 3 and with the ball. Or like a tie game or down 3 when like he has a chance to win the game with a drive.
And
He's probably won like
and
80% of them.
and here's the funny thing. I didn't watch the game last night. Went to sleep super early, all that. I'm watching the game for the first time this morning. And I don't know what the score is.
Yeah.
I don't know who won. I'm
Yeah.
clueless. I think the score was they were down like 9 to, I think it was whatever the score was, I don't know. But they were down and I'm like, "Oh, Pat got the ball. They're, they're gonna end up taking the lead." And they do. They simply do. And it was just clockwork. You look at it and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Mahomes getting the ball with a chance to like go down and score and lead his team to a dub. Yeah, I'll take that. So just having that confidence, watching Mahomes all the time in situations like that where you can't doubt the greatness. You can't. And the first game that really came to my mind when I was thinking of that comeback even happening is the playoff game where they came back what like 21 nothing
What,
against
against
was
the
it
Texans?
yeah.
Dude,
That game right there
they were down
is
20. That's like his Hall of Fame game, right? Like that's
yeah,
the one. Like when you induct him into the Hall of Fame, that's the first game you're showing.
yeah.
He was down 21-0 and they won by like 27. They blew the doors off of them. And
Like that
you
was the
felt it coming.
first game.
After their second touchdown when they were down 21-14, you're like, "Oh yeah, the Chiefs won this game."
Yeah. I think I was driving back home from either Atlanta or Jacksonville doing a job, and we're watching the game on our phone, and we're like, "Wow, they're gonna do this," and that just speaks volumes to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. Like when it's all said and done, Mahomes' career is just
I'm really happy that I don't even need to think about when it's all said and done because I'm hoping he got another 10, 15 years in the tank.
yeah. And I mean, we've been saying this since what
Year
his
two.
second year,
His
his
year as a
second year
starter.
of like, yeah,
Yeah. His second
exactly.
year as a starter. We were just like, oh yeah, this guy's just one of the greatest to ever do it.
And I mean that alone, like,
Yeah.
what
Because
more can you say?
you can tell, you know.
Oh, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
why I've never liked projects in the NFL that last more than like 2 years. I think there's some exceptions sometimes, like Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen took a really big year, really big leap year 3. But like, when does that ever happen? Like, it's usually you get into the NFL by year 2, you are who you are. That's tough.
I don't know. There's certain players that you look at and it's like, okay, they need to work on a couple of these things,
But
and
like,
if they
when
do
does
that,
that
they
ever
can.
happen though? Like, I agree. Like, you know how good Jerry Judy would be if he like created separation better? He'd be elite. He'd be a top
Yeah,
10 wide receiver. He doesn't.
doesn't.
You know, it's little things like that. And it's like if you could, but you don't, so you aren't. And that's
Yeah,
the NFL. That's why I love the NBA so much because the NBA you actually get that progression. You know,
yeah,
look at like Anthony Simons right now. That dude's out of his mind. The Blazers are in first place because this dude is just like, oh, we lost CJ. Bedham's gonna be a more efficient, bigger, more athletic, more clutch CJ McCollum, apparently. So you get those dudes who make the jumps, and it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Anything else for the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw another winner. Shout out to Tom Brady with the Tom Brady drive at the end of the game to win that game. They had a 5% chance of winning that game after they gave the ball back. 5% chance.
Classic Tom.
And
It was vintage Tom.
I was at the game yesterday, and a lot of the fans were leaving right before the drive where they're trying to get into the end zone and they didn't. And they were leaving and they were so mad. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna keep on losing fans if the Bucks keep playing like this, yada yada." Just all that, just crapping on the team. And then you see the energy start shifting and stuff. And the energy after that was just wild when he actually got the tutty at the end. Whew. And shout out because the Bucks absolutely needed this win
Yeah, like,
because
both of
they've
these
been on
teams
a
needed it, and whoever was getting it was
yeah
gonna have a lot of momentum. This one felt more
yeah.
important for the Bucks, though. At home,
It felt a
the
lot more
revenge
important.
game.
Yeah, and especially the way that it happened too. If they just won it, cool. You win the game, nice. But the fact that like they were down and they had a chance for Tom to go do what Tom does, and he's had chances this year and they just haven't done it.
Yeah.
So the fact that he made it happen, big win. I don't know how much it means for the like grand scheme of things for the rest of the season, but it's nice that divorced Tom is looking shisty. So
He got some
and
other supermodel. He
and if
he got
if that's
supermodels on
not
speed dial.
yeah, if that's not a dub, I don't know what is.
Big dubs. Big
City
dubs.
boys, her
City
loss, baby, her loss.
City boys. Shout out Drake in 21. I'll give you a big shout out real quick to the best DB group in the league. The Jets defense looks not like a good defense, but it looks like a opportunistic defense. Is that a fair assessment? I don't think their defense is
Yeah,
great, but I think
yeah,
they're opportunistic, and they made Josh Allen turn it over 3 times yesterday. One of the worst games of his career, or not career, but like since he's gotten great. That's a good sign too. If the Jets are able to contain him once, that they kind of figured out a recipe, some secret sauce, replicated in the future. Thoughts? You're also a half a game out of first place.
yeah. That was a huge win,
Yeah,
huge because this is one that I've marked on
is now.
on the season just automatically.
This is a win that makes you actually want to make the playoffs. And then obviously you
Yeah,
want to make the playoffs every year, but like 5-4 is not a great place to be. Every team seemingly gets to 5-4. I swear to God, every team gets there. And you get to 5-4, like, yeah, we could make it. And then you lose a stupid game to like the Jags. You're like, well, wish I knew
yeah,
this 5 weeks ago so we could have tanked.
yeah,
But no, now you're 6-3. The schedule is not super thick. I mean, you have some tough games against the Bills again. Obviously, the Vikings are coming into town. Or no, you're going to the Vikings and then the Dolphins. But it's not the hardest schedule. It's not the easiest.
I did say after the Dolphin game, we had a 4 game stretch against the Packers, Broncos, Patriots, and Bills. I said if we go 2-2 that stretch, I'm happy. We go 3-1, we're sitting
Three
beautiful.
and one.
We got a bye week now. The Patriot game looked it was bad,
It was bad.
but
It was bad.
we shot ourselves in the foot a lot that game.
It was bad.
That was probably one of our worst played games next to like the Ravens. So I think that's a good point to be at for us going into another game outside coming out of a bye week. So should be good. If we could win that game,
I feel
I
pretty
like what
comfy.
we got going on.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And then one quick loser. How you get hurt on your bye week? How do you get hurt on your bye week? Xavier McKinney hurts his, I think, hand on an ATV accident, and now he's just gonna miss a couple weeks for the New York Giants. You got a young spunky team right now making a run, and you do that on your bye week. You didn't even get hurt playing football. You didn't even get hurt practicing. You got hurt messing around. Nah, bro. You you just can't do that. You can't. I don't care how much fun you want to have. Chill out.
It's the
Chill out.
Fernando Tatis type beat. Like, don't be stupid, bro. Don't drive motorcycles
Like, don't do anything that there's a possibility of you getting hurt. I get accidents
and not
happen.
possibility. Like, right, you can get hurt doing anything, but like
Yeah, I get
you're
possible.
doing wheelies on ATVs. Like, come on,
Like,
bro.
nah, bro. You can't have that happen. And it's not like you're a bench warmer. You're starting every game.
Yeah.
You're starting every game, bro. And that's what you doing? Nah. So big L to Xavier McKinney.
Big L. I also I guess we'll switch it over real quick because there's not a whole lot that we can talk about it because I know you didn't get to watch these games sadly, But we had a really good week in college football. A really good week in college football. And I saw some really good memes where it was just like Alabama lost to LSU, Georgia beat the number 1 team in the country, number 4 Clemson lost. This week on what's the show with Skip Bayless? Undisputed. Monday on Undisputed. Is Dak the best quarterback in the league? Should Russell Westbrook get traded? It's like, bro, we just had a World Series end and 3 top 5 or 3 top 10 teams lose, and we're gonna talk about Dak. Ay, Dios mío. Dude, Tennessee came in as the number 1. I don't really know why in the first college football playoff they were number 1. I know they're undefeated. They beat Bama, but Georgia felt like a better team the whole time. So I don't fully know why Tennessee got 1. I think it might have just been like, hey, we'll get a top 3 matchup. Nice. Tennessee becomes number 1. They become underdogs immediately going to Georgia, and they get smacked 27-13. Yeah. This was supposed to be a Tennessee team that scores a lot of points, and it was a Georgia team that has some injuries on defense, and you're like, oh, whoa, hold on. Tennessee might do something here, and they could not get a thing going. Georgia rushed 3 all game, and Tennessee just couldn't run the ball on a 3-man front.
Yeah, Tennessee only gets like a gimme touchdown at the end of the game, but you only get 2 field goals in the first half.
Yeah. And I mean, they had a red zone turnover, and they had some stuff happen, and this game kind of got out of hand quickly. Like Georgia stopped their like big boy plays around the third quarter because they're like, this game feels slightly in control. We might have to play this team again. Let's reel it back for like a second. And so Georgia, they become the number 1 team in the country now because this was just a really big win. And I don't see how they wouldn't be. I mean, they beat Oregon. They beat the hell out of Oregon to start the year. They beat Tennessee, and now they have a game against Alabama sometime coming up. Speaking of Alabama, LSU gets Alabama. They go to OT, and this is an LSU team that's had an up and down season, right? They started 2-2. They win a couple games. They beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss has looked really good at times this year. They beat Ole Miss. Then they get Alabama at home. And in Brian Kelly's first game against the Tide, they go to OT. College OT is amazing. Everybody gets opportunities. And instead of just getting their touchdown, kicking the extra point, and getting the ball back and trying to do it again, they said, we're going to end this now. They go for 2. They drop a perfect play to the right side, get the 2-point conversion. And then you get the celebrations of Alabama. What happened? You come into Baton Rouge, you lose to a team that isn't as talented as LSU teams in the past, and you get your second loss, essentially kicking you out of the college football playoff. Finally, we're free of the Alabama shackles. There's also Nick Saban's last year. I don't know if we've talked about this.
No.
Nick Saban announced this is going to be his last season as a head coach. I don't believe it. If they lose 3 games this year, he has to come back for 1 more. There's no way he goes out on a 3-loss season.
Yeah. I saw one of the football analysis guys, and he said that play that Alabama lost on, they lost on that same exact play to Clemson in the national championship.
It was the Hunter Renfrow play. It was the exact same play.
Same exact play.
It was the Hunter Renfrow play. Yeah. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Amazing.
So, so Bama loses, and then Clemson. Tough loss to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the funniest team in the world because they suck when the lights are brightest. And all of a sudden, they're not ranked. They're like, oh, nobody cares. They think we suck. Let's just go ahead and beat Clemson real quick. I don't think this was the worst Clemson team we've seen in a while. I don't think they were that good to begin with. I'm really happy they lost so that college is weird where, like, just because of your conference, sometimes you get those fraudulent teams, right? And sometimes fraudulent teams look good, like, regardless. Like, Oklahoma's looked amazing in years past, and they get into the thing, and it's like, boom, who would have thought? Clemson was always fraudulent, and I'm happy they finally got the loss. They were edging a loss for weeks. So, shout out to Notre Dame for doing the Lord's work, literally.
Big shout out.
Yeah, and then we'll do one more college game. Ohio State had a rough one against Northwestern. If I don't know if you saw anything from that game, the winds were like 40 miles an hour. There
Yikes.
was a punt that went like 12 yards because he went and then it just hit a wall and just dropped. It was crazy. The offenses could not throw the ball. It was 21-7, and it was only 21-7 because they got like a last drive kind of a touchdown. Ohio State did. It was a 14-7 game the whole game. It wasn't a cute win, but with the conditions, you got to take that into account. Northwestern's horrible, but we'll let you guys pass Ohio State. But if you have another game like this, we'll start to be concerned because this wasn't your best look for the number 2 team in the country too. And that's my college football talk. Go Ducks. I think they're number 6 now. Let me look up the AP poll real quick. I feel like that's something I should do. Is it not going to show me? That's crazy. That's disgruntling. Yeah, it's not showing me. Lame. Michigan's still undefeated though. So Ohio State, Michigan in 2 weeks. Not this week, but the following is probably going to be 2 7-0 teams. That's kind of sick. Or not 7-0. Whatever they're undefeated. 10-0 teams or whatever they are. So hell yeah. I actually want Ohio State to win a game for once.
Whoa.
Yeah, right.
That's wild.
Michigan's. I like for some reason have developed a hate towards Michigan over the last couple of years. I think it's Harbaugh. I hate Harbaugh. I don't really have a reason either. I hate the way they play too. They play like they have Derrick Henry in the backfield, bro. You don't have Derrick Henry.
I've always had a weird hatred for Texas, Pennsylvania, and obviously Boston teams. Just whole life. Any team.
Every Texas team?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not a TCU guy?
I love TCU baseball just because there's a time in history where like those videos were just the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, those videos
like,
are really
shout
cool. The
out
rise
to
and
the
grinds and all that.
Yeah, shout out to the Horned Frogs. But like other than that,
they got a top. They got a top 5 uniform combos.
Yeah, it's just a weird hatred. I don't know why.
I get the Pennsylvania one. I'm right there with you. Obviously, Boston.
That's why rooting for the Phillies was so weird.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We're rooting for Bryce Harper and Bryce Harper only.
Shout out Harper.
We got anything else? We touched on a lot of stuff.
Shout out to the greatest MLS game ever.
Yeah, dude. MLS Cup. We almost didn't talk about that MLS Cup, LAFC. Did you see the keeper broke his leg in the game? Yeah. LAFC's keeper got a red card on a play, which, first of all, a keeper getting a red card is crazy. But he stopped a 100% goal. It was a goal. He gets a red card, and his leg snapped. It was actually dangling.
Yeah.
He put the team on his back, broke his leg, and passed the baton to the backup keeper, who then won MVP.
My boy let it hang. He let it hang. Like, that dude, he did his thing.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then again, for the backup keeper to come up so big and in the PKs save 2 goals.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to save a goal in PKs? Like, it's difficult because it's mostly a guessing game. But then even if you guess right, like in the short span, getting your hands and your body in position to actually block it is very difficult. And he saved 2.
I'm so glad we got to watch that game at the last second.
Yeah, that was cool.
We didn't know what was going on. We found out right when PK started, and it was electric.
Yeah,
absolutely electric.
As much as I hate PKs, they're really fun.
You don't like PKs?
I don't like PKs. I've never enjoyed like you play a full game on the field and now it has to get settled between like it's not luck. There's plenty of skill to PKs, but like there's a certain degree of luck where it's just keeper
So
guesses and
so do you not like shootouts either for
no,
the NHL?
no. I'm not a shootout. I'm not a PK guy. I do think they're fun though. I do think they're fun. I don't love them to like decide a final like this, but also it makes great television. It's way more
Yeah.
exciting than just like sitting here waiting for a goal to eventually happen. So like, there's the pluses and minuses. I'm
So what about like college football OT? Because I mean, it's essentially
It's different though because it's still
you got
playing
more
football.
chances.
It's
Yeah,
no, it's still playing football. Like you're still drawing up plays. There's a defense. There's not. It's still football.
I mean, yeah, but
Like this would never happen, but we used to do this when we were younger playing soccer. And I'm not even suggesting this. It's just what we used to do. Um, there was we used to do like you cut the field into like a third. You have like a set offense, and it'll be like a 4v3, right? You have three defenders, two defenders, four offensive players, and then you have the keeper. And you just like keep the ball until you turn it over. So when the other team gets it and clears it, or when you kick it out of bounds, then the other team gets to go. So it's like an offensive possession until goal. That would be cool, but like that's a lot of effort. It would be
yeah,
cool to like make set plays off of that though. But
yeah. I don't know. I enjoy like shootouts and PKs because like yeah, you could keep on playing, but then let's say it just keeps on going and going, and like now you're however many OTs into
do you
it.
remember the playoff game a couple years ago between Carolina and the Blues?
Probably.
I think it was Carolina and the Blues. They went 5 OTs.
Yeah.
They played 2 full hockey games, almost 3, and then had another game the next day.
Well, didn't the Lightning have like a 6 OT play? If I'm not mistaken.
It might have been the Lightning too. I don't remember. Maybe it was
Yeah,
Carolina Lightning.
maybe. But like at that point, you guys are so gassed, and the game's just going. And for playoffs, it's different. Which
Yeah.
I'm surprised that soccer they do a PK.
And they do it at every level too. Because if you
Yeah,
remember the which World Cup was it? Was it Argentina Germany? I think it was Argentina Germany. It went to PKs.
PKs are sick though because like it all just comes down to that.
Which speaking
Uh,
of which, we've had a busy couple of months. We got the World Cup in 2 weeks.
It's
We
in
got
two
the
weeks.
World Cup in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Ooh,
That starts like right around Thanksgiving.
we got to get Dev on the pod.
Yes, we do. We'll see if Devin can hop on next week. I will not be here next week. I will be gone. So we'll see if Devin can hop on and we can get some soccer boys. That will work.
Yeah,
That works. That'll do, donkey.
that'll do, donkey.
That'll do, donkey. But that's all we got. We've been talking for a little minute here, so we're gonna get out of here, guys. Ears. Appreciate everybody for listening. If you guys like our content, make sure you go check us out at Spectators Media on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube now because you can do ats on YouTube. So at Spectators Media on YouTube, you can find us everywhere. It's awesome, one stop shop. We are going to be having another episode next week. I might do. I don't even remember what I said earlier, but I said I was going to make a TikTok about something. I don't know what. Free agent
Where
landing spots. My brain is giant. I remembered. Um, just be on the lookout for TikToks. I know Hanjo's been making some betting stuff. He had a 7-leg parlay hit, which is pretty sick. And he's into the college scene right now too. So make sure you guys stay in touch with that. I'll have some content on my trip as well. I'll be at the Ducks game on Saturday. Sco Ducks, we hate the Huskies. Husky Hate Week is officially on.
Let's
It's officially on. So
get
everybody
it.
appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.